Good evening. 7:57. We got 3 minutes until official start, but trying to finish getting set up here. Let's see if I can do this. Promise one day I will figure out all this tech stuff. There we go. I think that looks okay. See you, Adrian. Thank you for being here, brother. It does say I have slow connection again, so bear with me again tonight. How are you doing, Adrian? Can you hear me fine? I know, probably a little bit of connection issue, but going better? Good. Glad to hear that. Welcome in, Dalton. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Looks like a bit of slow connection again, but I'm going to get started in just a second. Just a few words before I do get going. At some point I will get my computer fixed and then have my little station set up again. And at which point I think my computer's just a little busted right now. So it makes a lot of noise, things like that. Overheats and will like give me black screen like you guys seen last time. So once I get that fixed though, I think that we'll have a better feed going forward. And then alright, am I back? Got disconnected. I don't know if this is a brand new feed now or what. But it is 8:01 now. Give me a second. See if I can get some people back in here. Telling me slow connection again. Oh, you are here? Same feed. Okay, perfect. It's just not popping up with you guys anymore. Okay, cool. Well, bad connection. Hopefully it's a little bit better. Like I said, computer, all that. Once we get there, it'll be a lot better. So I do apologize for any slow connection or lagging. And one of the big things I was going to say before it kind of got cut out. Tonight, I went to Bowl and Pitcher, and I made offerings to the gods and the land Vatir and the spirits of Bowl and Pitcher, and I made my oaths to the gods tonight as a servant to the gods and as an aspiring Gothi. In my eyes, I consider myself a Gothi now, but it is my job to prove it to all of you and have you see me as a Gothi. So I am honored to be here to help bridge the gap between knowledge and your curiosity. And I'm thankful to all of you that are here with me now and here moving forward as we continue to grow and we continue to share our knowledge. I also have a few folks that I'm talking with that they have many years of different forms of study and paganism, different kinds of paganism, things like that. And I'm going to try to get them on the table with us and have them kind of share some of their information, share their practice, share their knowledge, so that we can kind of see what different paths look like and other things like that. But enough of that for right now. I'm going to get started. I'm not really good at staying on topic without like writing out everything and giving myself a script. So I do that, so I hope that's okay with everybody, but that way I don't just rant and babble on like I've been doing for the last 3 minutes. So I'm going to get started, though. So thank you guys for being here. Appreciate every single one of you. Bear with the feed, and hopefully you guys can listen along as I go into this. So tonight we're going to talk about Yule, not just as a holiday, but as a season. This is a time of endings and beginnings, a time when the veil feels thinner, the nights grow longer, and we slow down enough to listen. We'll focus on 3 connected parts of this season: Yule itself, Mother's Night, the opening of Yule, the wild hunt, which rides through the long dark. You don't need to know the lore. You don't need to believe everything literally. Just listen, reflect, and take what resonates with you. I would like to start us out. We are going to light a candle tonight, just to kind of show you guys. You viewing at home right now, feel free to light your own candle if you want. But I'm going to put that back out for just a second. But if you want to go get yourself a candle, or not, it's okay. But we're going to light a candle here in just a minute, ceremoniously. Not worshiping any gods. This is nothing like that. You don't have to believe in any magic or anything. This is just going to kind of show you how to honor your ancestors if it's something that you want to do. But let us take a moment to settle ourselves. Place both your feet on the ground and take a slow breath in and release it gently. Another breath in and out. Before us is a single flame, not a demand, not a test, just a light. So now if you've gotten your candle, you can light your candle. And I'm going to keep this candle lit for the rest of our little chat here. It doesn't need to be a magical candle or anything special. It just needs to be a candle that you can put a flame in. So my candle is lit. The candle represents Yule, the turning of the year, the longest night, and the quiet promise that the light returns. Yule reminds us that even when the world is dark, life is still moving, growth is still happening, and hope is never gone, only resting. In the deep of winter, our ancestors spoke of the wild hunt, the sounds of winds through trees, the unseen forces moving through the world. The wild hunt is not about fear, it's about movement, about what must pass away so something new can be born. As you watch this flame, consider what burdens are ready to be released, what old habits, griefs, or fears no longer serve you. Before Yule comes Mother's Night, a time to honor those who came before us, mothers of blood, mothers of spirit, ancestors known and unknown, those who carried life forward so we could stand here now. You do not need to know their names. Your breath is proof of their work. May the returning light warm what has grown cold. May the wild winds carry away what we are ready to release. May the mothers watch over us as the year turns. This flame does not stay here. We carry it with us in our actions, our kindness, and our courage. When you are ready, take one final breath and gently return your focus to the room. When we light a candle at Yule, and heathen and Norse pagan traditions, Yule marks the longest night of the year and the turning of the seasons. It is a time when darkness is at its deepest, and when the return of the light begins. Lighting a candle at Yule is a simple way to honor that turning. The flame reminds us that even in the darkest times, life continues, and renewal is already underway. The stories of the Wild Hunt speak to the powerful forces of winter, change, movement, and the clearing of way of what no longer serves us. Rather than something to fear, these stories help us reflect on release and transformation. Mother's Night is a time to honor our ancestors, those who came before us, known and unknown, and to recognize that we are a part of a long, unbroken chain of life. This candle moment is not a test, a spell, or a requirement of belief. It is simply a moment of reflection, gratitude, and connection. You are welcome to participate in whatever way feels right to you, or simply just to observe. Thank you for joining us, Corey. Glad you could be here tonight. So, some of you are probably asking, what is Yule? Yule is one of the oldest seasonal observances in Northern European traditions. At its heart, Yule marks the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, and the moment when the sun begins its slow return. For many ancient peoples, this turning point was deeply important. The world felt still, cold, and dark. Food was stored, travel was difficult, and survival depended on preparation and community. Yule was not simply a celebration. It was a recognition that life had endured and that the light would return. In heathen traditions, Yule is not just one day. It is often observed over multiple nights, commonly known as the 12 Nights of Yule. Each night carries its own focus, allowing time for reflection, remembrance, and renewal rather than rushing through the season. Welcome in, Lee. Thank you for being here. Yule is a liminal time, a space between what has been and what is coming. The old year is dying, and the new year has not yet fully arrived. This in-between space is where many of our stories, rituals, and spiritual practices take place. At Yule, we honor the turning of the seasons, the endurance of life through hardship, our ancestors who survived winters far harsher than our own, the bonds of hearth and community, both physical and spiritual. Yule is not about perfection or performance. It is about presence. Sitting with the darkness, acknowledging loss and struggle, and still choosing to welcome the returning light. Whether someone approaches Yule through history, spirituality, storytelling, or personal reflection, the core remains the same. The wheel turns, the light returns, and we endure. The 12 nights of Yule are a sacred span of time that begin on the night of the winter solstice and carry us through the turning of the year. Rather than celebrating a single day, this tradition allows us to slow down and move intentionally through reflection, remembrance, and renewal. In many heathen and folk traditions, these nights are seen as a thin time, a period when the veil between worlds feels closer. The past year is still present, the new year is coming, or the new year is forming, and the threads of fate are being adjusted. This is a time not for rushing forward, but for listening. Corey says a good time to focus on what we are, and get out of my way, and what we have done. Yes, Corey. Yeah, that is perfect. A good time to focus on what we are and what we have done. Each of the 12 nights can be approached as a focus rather than a rule. There is no single correct list, and different hearths honor these nights in different ways. What matters most is intention. A common way to understand the 12 nights is as a progression. The first night is for looking back. The early nights are often devoted to reflection, reviewing the past year, acknowledging struggles, losses, and grief, honoring growth, lessons learned, and survival. This is not about judgment. It is about honesty. We look at where we have been so we can step forward with clarity. The middle nights, it's for the present. It's for the now. The middle nights focus on the now, honoring hearth and home, strengthening family, chosen kin, and community, offering gratitude for what still sustains us. These nights remind us that even in darkness, we are not alone. The fire still burns, food is shared, stories are told, presence matters. The final nights are for looking forward. The later nights turn towards what is coming, setting intentions for the new year, listening for guidance from ancestors, spirits, or the self, considering what seeds we wish to plant. Rather than making rigid resolutions these nights, encourage alignment, choosing how we want to walk forward. Observation of this time can be very simple. You could light a candle each night, share a story or a memory with a friend or a loved one, sit quietly with intention, offer food or drink to ancestors or spirits, write down in a journal, pray, or simply just rest. Participation is never about obligation. Some nights may be active, others might be quiet. Some may carry emotion, others peace. All of that is welcome. The 12 nights of Yule are not about doing everything right. They are about creating space for grief, for gratitude, for hope, and for rest. The old year fades slowly. The new year arrives gently. We walk between them with care. Corey said, "Don't be afraid of the dark and the cold. We need to learn how to embrace this side of life." 100% agree with that too, Corey. Thank you for sharing. Mother's Night is one of the oldest and most deeply rooted observations within Yule. It is traditionally held at the beginning of Yule, often on the night of the winter solstice, or the first night of the 12 nights. While Yule unfolds over many days, Mother's Night sets the spiritual tone for all that follows. At its heart, Mother's Night is about origins. It is a night dedicated to the mothers, our ancestors, especially those who came before us and gave us life, as well as the greater maternal forces of the world. This can include ancestral mothers, spirit mothers, land spirits, and goddesses connected to birth, fate, and protection. Rather than focusing on a single deity, Mother's Night recognizes that life itself comes from many sources. Honoring Mother's Night invites us to turn our attention backward and inward, to remember those who carried us into this world, to acknowledge the lines of blood, spirit, and chosen family, to honor the unseen hands that shaped who we are. This is especially important during the darkest time of the year when remembrance and gratitude help anchor us. For some, this night may bring warmth and comfort. For others, it may bring grief or longing. Both are valid. Mother's Night holds space for all of it. Many heathen and folk traditions view ancestors not as distant memories, but as active presences, witnesses to our lives and part of our ongoing story. On Mother's Night, we may speak their names aloud, leave offerings of food or drink, share stories or memories, sit quietly and listen. This is not ancestor worship, it is ancestor honoring, recognizing relationship rather than hierarchy. For example, I lost my mother this year. I intend to make her a plate on Mother's Night. Leave her a space at the table. I'm going to talk about her a bit. And on Mother's Night, I will light a candle and I will speak the name of every woman in my life that I hold dear and that has shaped and crafted me in some way. And this is something that you guys can all do yourselves. But Mother's Night reminds us that we do not walk alone. Our lives are shaped by countless lives before us. It is a night of gratitude for what was given, healing for what was lost, strength for what continues. By honoring the mothers, we acknowledge both where we come from and the responsibility we carry forward. A gentle way to observe for those new to the path. Mother's Night does not need to be elaborate. A single candle, a quiet moment of remembrance, a simple offering, a heartfelt word spoken aloud. Also agree with that too, Corey. Just embracing the feminine and honoring the feminine aspect of all things. Intention matters more than form, is the bottom line, and me and Corey seem to agree there. Why Mother's Night matters. Mother's Night teaches us the past is not something to escape, it is something to carry with care. As Yule begins, we start not with celebration, but with remembrance. From the mothers, all things grow. The Wild Hunt. The Wild Hunt is a powerful and often misunderstood part of the Yule season. In many northern European traditions, it is said that during the darkest nights of the year, a great procession moves through the sky and the land, spirits, ancestors, and otherworldly beings traveling between realms. At the center of many of these stories is Odin, the wanderer, the wild one, the leader of the hunt. In other traditions, the hunt may be led by different figures, but the core meaning remains the same: movement, transition, and reckoning. The Wild Hunt is not something to fear, it is a reminder that the world is alive, shifting, and untamed. So, we all were present for last night's storm and the storms that have happened in the last couple of days and the flooding and, everything that's hitting Washington right now. And it's like, yes, those are, natural storms and occurrences, but this is a time for us to see that and think about the Wild Hunt and the changing of the season and how the ancestors and the spirits are being carried across the wind. It's time to look inward. But rather than a literal chase, the Wild Hunt symbolizes forces that are always in motion: the turning of seasons, the passing of the old year, the movement of souls, stories, and fate. During Yule, when nights are long and silence feels deeper, these stories remind us that unseen currents are at work. In many traditions, the Wild Hunt includes the dead, not as something sinister, but as a part of the natural cycle. This is why Yule is often associated with honoring ancestors, protecting the home, offering hospitality to the unseen. It is believed that during this time, ancestors may draw nearer, watching over their descendants as the year turns. Yeah, it's hitting BC. Yeah, the weather is crazy. Agree, Corey. Agree. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being in the comments today. I appreciate that. So, in many traditions, the Wild Hunt includes the dead, not as something sinister, but as a part of the natural cycle. I think I already got that. Yeah. But this is why Yule is often associated with honoring ancestors, protecting the home, offering hospitality to the unseen. It is believed that during this time, ancestors may draw nearer, watching over their descendants as the year turns. Historically, people did not try to control or summon the Wild Hunt. Instead, they practiced respect and awareness, bringing in loose items before nightfall, leaving small offerings, staying mindful during storms and high winds, speaking with care. These acts were not about superstition, but about acknowledging that some forces are greater than us and deserve respect. Today, the Wild Hunt can be understood symbolically, a time to release what no longer serves you, a reminder that change can be sudden but necessary, an invitation to let the old year pass fully. For many, this is a moment to sit quietly and reflect rather than act. The Wild Hunt teaches us that not everything needs to be named, controlled, or fully understood. Some things move through our lives like the wind, powerful, unseen, and fleeting. We honor them by standing steady, keeping our hearth lit, and remembering who we are. As Yule deepens, the Wild Hunt reminds us that while the world beyond the fire may be wild and uncertain, the hearth remains a place of safety. warmth and remembrance. We tend the flame, we listen, we endure. When we speak about Yule and its sacred nights, it's important to understand that much of what we know comes from fragments. Stories preserved in sagas, poems, and later writings. Heathen lore was passed orally for generations, and what survives today is a combination of myth, history, and lived tradition. This means we approach lore not as rigid law, but as guidance and memory. Yule, or Yule, appears in both the poetic Edda and the prose Edda, as well as in later Scandinavian sources. It was a midwinter feast tied to survival, sacrifice, and the turning of the sun. Yule was a time to honor the gods for protection and provision, remember your ancestors, strengthen community through shared food and drink. Kings and chieftains were often responsible for hosting Yule feasts, emphasizing its role as a communal obligation, not just a personal celebration. The phrase to drink Yule appears in the sagas, referring to ceremonial toasts and offerings, early forms of what we now call bloats or symbols. Mother's Night, or Modernit, is mentioned by the Venerable Bede in the 8th century. He describes it as a night observed by the Anglo-Saxons in honor of the mothers. That's plural. While Bede does not explain the ritual details, the name itself tells us much. This was a sacred observance centered on ancestral mothers, protective female spirits, possibly goddesses connected to fate and lineage. Because the mothers are unnamed, this observance remains open and inclusive, allowing each hearth to honor those who matter most to them. The Wild Hunt appears across Germanic and Norse folklore, often associated with winter storms, howling winds, and restless nights. In Norse tradition, Odin, known as Woden or Wodan in earlier forms, is frequently linked to the hunt. He is the god of the dead, knowledge and prophecy, wanderers and outcasts. Odin's role as leader of the hunt reflects his connection to liminal spaces, places between life and death, order and chaos. The hunt was believed to pass through during midwinter, reinforcing the idea that this season is one of movement between worlds. Taken together, the lore of Yule, Mother's Night, and the Wild Hunt tells a single story. Life does not end in the darkness, it transforms. The dead are not gone, they are remembered. The gods are not distant, they move through the world. The hearth becomes our anchor during this time. We honor the past, tend to the present, and prepare for what comes next. Lore is a starting point, not a boundary. The old stories give us language and shape, but your relationship with the season, the ancestors, and the sacred is what brings them to life. So with that, I want to end us with a story. And that story is how Odin brought song and story to Midgard. Long ago, before words were written and before songs had names, there was a time when wisdom itself was rare. After a great war between the Aesir and the Vanir, the gods made peace. As a sign of that peace, they gathered together, and each god spit into a single vessel. From the act of unity, they formed a being known Kvasir, the wisest of all. Born from the shared knowledge of the gods, Kvasir traveled the worlds, speaking with gods, spirits, and mortals alike. Wherever he went, he shared wisdom freely, but not all beings value wisdom for its own sake. Two dwarves, Faljar and Galjar, killed Kvasir and drained his blood. They mixed it with honey and brewed it into a powerful mead, a drink that granted poetry, song, and deep understanding to any who tasted it. This mead was called Othreir, the stirrer of inspiration. The dwarves eventually lost the mead, and it came into the possession of a giant, Suttung, who hid it deep within a mountain. There it was guarded by his daughter, Gunnlod, and sealed away from the worlds. When Odin learned where the mead was hidden, he did not take it by force. Instead, he traveled Midgard in disguise, as he often does. He worked for Suttung's brother, Bagi, and through effort and endurance and in cleverness, Odin earned Bagi's help. Together they drilled a hole through the mountain where the mead was kept. Odin then transformed himself into a serpent and slipped through the stone, entering the chamber where Gunnlod watched over the sacred drink. There, Odin stayed with her for 3 nights. He spoke with her. He listened. He shared words and stories. And through trust, he was granted 3 drinks of the mead. But Odin did not take only a sip. With each drink, he emptied an entire vessel. After taking the mead, Odin transformed into an eagle and flew towards Asgard. Suttung followed in fury, also taking the shape of an eagle. As Odin flew, some of the mead spilled from him, falling into Midgard. This is why poetry, music, and inspiration exist among humans. Not all of it is pure, not all of it is perfect, but it is alive. The greatest portion of the mead Odin carried back to the gods. From it, poets, skalds, musicians, and storytellers are inspired. This is why Odin is called the poet, the wanderer, the bringer of song. This story is often remembered during Yule because it reminds us that wisdom and beauty are hard won. Odin does not give poetry as a gift wrapped and ready. It comes through effort, sacrifice, and transformation, through wandering, through risk. During the darkest times of the year, when the wild hunt rides and the old year fades, this story reminds us that even in shadow, song survives. Words matter. Stories matter. The hearth matters. Through fire and mead, through loss and longing, Odin brought song to Midgard, so that even in the darkest nights, we would remember how to speak, how to sing, and how to endure. So, for those of you who were paying attention to what rune I chose for the month, I chose Kinaz as our rune. And Kinaz is the rune of the torch. It is not the wildlife that destroys, nor the distant sun that cannot be touched. Kinaz has carried fire, fire held in the hand, passed from one to another. It is the light that reveals, warms, and transforms. This is the fire Odin brings to Midgard through the mead of poetry. Excuse me. Kinaz as inspired fire. When Odin steals the mead, he does not bring wealth or power. He brings inspiration. Kinaz governs creative fire, skill and craft, song, poetry, and spoken music. Learning through experience, the mead does not create something from nothing. It ignites what is already within a person. Just as Kinaz does not replace the darkness, but illuminates it, the mead of poetry awakens the voice already waiting to speak. Odin is the bearer of Kinaz. Odin embodies Kinaz in this story. He wanders, seeking wisdom. He transforms, becoming serpent and eagle. He risks loss to bring something sacred back. Kinaz teaches that true knowledge costs something: time, comfort, certainty. Odin does not take the easy path. He takes the necessary one. When some of the mead spills into Midgard, it is imperfect. This too is Kinaz. Kinaz governs human creativity, which is rarely pure or flawless. Not every poem is sacred. Not every song is true. But all carry the spark. Fire can warm or burn. What matters is how it is used. Galdir, sung or spoken magic, is the living expression of Kinaz. Words shaped by breath, sound shaped by intention, fire shaped into form. When we chant, sing, or speak with purpose, we are carrying the torch Odin lit. Kinaz is the flame Odin carried from the mountain, the light of poetry, music, and inspired speech. Through it, the gods did not give us answers. They gave us the fire to find our own. So, Kinaz reminds us that inspiration is not owned by the gods alone. It is carried, it is shared, it is kept alive by those who choose to tend it. So with all that being said, throughout the rest of the month, you guys can light yourself a candle. You can speak the word Kinaz into the flames, and that can work. This can cleanse your space. This can honor the ruin. This can honor the fire inside of you, what Odin brought to all of us. Again, this is your guys' path. You can come to this historically, spiritually, like I said, but it is what you make of it. So, thank you guys for being here with me and listening to all of my sloppy words. I think I need some more of the mead. Thank you, Corey, Lee, Adrian, Dalton. Thank you guys for all being in the live stream tonight. Thank you a lot, Corey. You have a lot of valuable input that I see here. You got a couple of ones I haven't read yet. We must lead to be one with the ruins and how to apply them to our life. Yes, we have to find it ourselves. The gods will not do it for you. Perfect. Perfect words, Corey. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or want to bring anything else up tonight? Please do. I'll hang out for a couple more minutes, and we can just continue the conversation or do as we will. Really appreciate you guys being here, man. Thank you, Lee. I appreciate that. So I think I've brought this up in past videos, and I know I've messaged it. So I'm going to follow the rest of the year out, giving us these videos, doing some introductions on kind of what is happening for the season, things like that. But come 2026, I do want to start physically trying to get people together, celebrate some of these holidays, teach people some of these traditions, and, help you guys form your guys' path. I'm not here to tell you what that path is. I'm not here to tell you what to believe or what not to believe. I simply just want to share knowledge that I have hoarded and gathered myself with all of you, and I would love for you to share your knowledge with me. And I agree with that too, Corey. I don't go anywhere without my bag of ruins anymore. And I fully intend to take my path as a Gothi to the end of my life. And I'm glad to be able to start to form this kindred and share it with all of you. Glad to learn from all of you. I consider myself, Norse pagan, a Satru, if you will. But I've walked many pagan routes. Druidism, shamanism, other things like that. Grew up, my mom was Wiccan my whole life. So I've walked many paths. So no path is an opposition to me. But I do want to share what I consider my traditions, what I consider my rituals, share what I consider bloats and symbols with all of you, feasts with all of you. I want to come to your guys' homes, if you'll allow me, and help you cleanse your homes and bless your ancestors and help you set up your altars and sanctify your altars, or whatever it is that you want and need from me. Maybe you need me to do weekly rune readings for you, things like that. I will gladly do that. If your loved ones pass on, I want to be able to be here to help you guys find the best routes to bury your dead in a way that seems fit for you. I didn't really have that option when my mother passed. So, I want to make it a big deal that I am here to help and bridge your guys' curiosity with knowledge and community. I'm all about that, Corey. Down a horn full of mead, read some ruins, and get crazy in the woods, brother. What time is it? All right. 8:38. I'm going to go finish the night out with my kiddos and my family. I hope you guys all do the same. Blessed be to all of you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Again, appreciate all of the feedback and everything that you guys are. Yeah, I'm in Spokane. I'm up on the north side. Pretty much everybody in here, for the most part, is here in Spokane. So, yeah, well, maybe we try to get a ensemble going. Maybe New Year's. If anybody's down. We'll talk more about it in chat. I'll make a poll, see if we're gonna get some bodies together for a ensemble for New Year's. But all right, again, much love all of you guys. Thank you guys for your feedback. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you guys for all the knowledge that you're gonna share. You guys have a wonderful night, okay? Thank you.